Hello and welcome back to Randomly Generated Conversations. I am Wesley Sellers. I'm here with my son, Bastian Sellers.
Hello.
And my brother, Galen Sellers.
Hello.
This is the podcast where we take a random conversation starter and see where it goes from there. This podcast is available on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, as well as Spotify. If you are listening on Spotify, make sure to check out the poll and give us your opinion on one of the topics. All right, today's episode, we're just going to jump into the questions. The first question is, where did you go on your last vacation? We'll ask that question over to Galen.
Do staycations count where you stay home?
I think we're talking vacay, not staycay. Oh, just kidding.
My last vacation, I stayed within Utah.
Okay, and that's still a vacation, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me ask you a question before you continue then, is what defines a vacation? So, does it have to be something planned and elaborate, or is going camping a type of vacation? Because that will definitely change my answer as to what we're defining as vacation for the sake of this question.
I think that a vacation doesn't have to be something long and elaborate.
Okay.
You can take a daycation where you'll do something in a day.
Mm-hmm.
You go out, you do it, you come back that same day.
Okay. Okay, then I'll keep that in mind. But, all right, so within Utah was your last vacation? Daycation, staycation, whatever it was?
Well, I did a week-long camp with a young men's group.
Okay.
From the area, and I was one of the leaders.
Oh, that sounds fun. Well, can be, depending on how the kids are. I've been on campouts with youth before, and I've had the well-behaved youth where it's lots of fun, and I've had kids like my son. Just kidding, my kid's actually a pretty good behaved kid. But I've had groups where I wouldn't return, so it was enough that you called it a vacation, so I'm guessing it wasn't too bad, right?
It was a break from work.
Okay. That's always good, right?
I had my fair share of camping.
And this last year?
This last summer, we went camping for a couple days, and then I had to go somewhere that was
Another camp.
Then, after that camp, I went straight into camping again. A week later, we camped again. I went camping with
A youth group.
And then after that, I came back and we went camping with some friends. Yeah.
Yep, you had 3 days from the youth group to go camping again. And, yeah, when you went camping on the long one, you came home and our family was camping, so you didn't even get to go home. We picked you up straight from the camp and brought you to 3 or 4 more days of camping.
I think I slept for a little while.
Did you need a vacation from the camping?
Yeah.
So coming home was the vacation this last summer, because we were at home less than we were camping.
I would say, so the last vacation we took was camping up in, what is it called?
North Fork area? Or
No,
did we go camping somewhere else?
It was the Green River.
Oh, yes. I completely forgot about that.
So much fun trip.
Yeah, over near Flaming Gorge.
Flaming George.
Flaming Gorgeous.
Flaming Georges.
Flaming Georges. That was a fun one, because
I really liked that.
I consider that one probably more of a vacation than the others. I mean, the air camping was definitely relaxing and everything, but this one follows on the going, planning it out, camping. We went rafting down the Green River. We thought we were only going down once. We ended up going down twice because everybody enjoyed it so much. 2 big families. So each family had 4 kids. So one of ours was at home. But, I mean, still, if we're looking at a family of 5 and a family of 6, that's still 11 people trying to get around down on the raft and everything.
Yeah, we almost got decapitated too.
And the first run was so perfect that we're like, oh yeah, we can totally do another run. Well, first off, the water was freezing cold, so I'm going to just caveat it with that.
Yeah, my brother
pushing the
got hit
raft
by a
in
tree.
or going in. And then, yes, the second time, for some reason, we couldn't control. There was a lot more wind the second time
Mm-hmm.
and some rain. We couldn't control the raft. The raft goes and smashes one of my son's faces into a tree. And then when we go on the mother-in-law, which by the name you could tell it's going to be really scary, right? So you go down the mother-in-law rapid, and we go too far to the side and hit the wall. It was a
We almost got
rock wall there.
We all leaned backwards because we were gonna get hit by it.
Is that why Leandra says she hates river rafting?
She had so much fun, but it did wear her out.
All of a sudden,
Yes, we hit that wall, and it had an overhang, so we all leaned back, and the guy in the back, so our friend, the father of the other family, gets thrown off the raft because everybody leans back right into him and throws him off the back, so he's holding on to the raft through the rest of the rapids.
It was crazy. I mean, at the same time, on that same run, we also had our boat go out of control that we ended up in the middle of the two rapids. We're like, oh no, like the different ways. And we're like, oh no.
Rock.
Mm-hmm. Because we had saw another raft hit a big, huge rock. And we're like, oh my gosh, well, we didn't see it hit it, but we saw the raft.
Yeah, we saw the remnants.
And we're like, oh no, what if this happens to us?
But luckily ours didn't pop.
It didn't pop.
We went over the rock. It was definitely painful, but we did it.
Mm-hmm. We were stuck there, and some people were like confused. They also threw candy at us. A group of people.
Yep.
They threw a sealed bag of candy. They're like, here, take this.
Well, they weren't throwing it at us.
I know.
They were throwing it at another raft.
I know.
But when they missed the raft and was closer to ours, they're like, hey, go ahead and have the candy.
I liked my story better.
That they threw it to us?
Yeah, threw it to us. We were like attacking them with everybody with squirt guns too along the raft.
Uh-huh. There was one raft that was getting mad at us because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the other ones would just try to fight back, and it was fun.
There was this one time that we had sprayed like this group of people a bunch. All of a sudden, they caught up to us, had like all these squirt guns somehow, and just started laying it on us. And we're like, oh my gosh.
And again, the water was freezing. We stopped by a side to, I think we were going to eat lunch, or maybe we were just to get out and walk. And we did the challenge of dunking ourselves under the water. And it was cold. And I don't mind cold water. But this was... You were numb after a couple minutes in that water.
I've been in colder water. We were at North Fork camping. And we all went for a little hike up this little place.
Yeah.
My friend's dad says if I can stay under the water for at least 5 seconds, he'll give me $20. This water, to put in perspective, is if you've dumped like 20 full buckets of ice into there.
Well, it was glacier
and then
runoff
water. It was crazy. Freezing cold. My entire body, I couldn't breathe.
So they had all the park ranger people
like
there because
afterward.
It was the area where they regulate the glacier runoff or the snow runoff into the river there. So they regulate it, and so they were opening it up, and that's where you stuck your head in, was that pure snow runoff water.
I still think got $20.
Yeah, you didn't make it the full time, but he still...
I almost did. I made it like 4 seconds. I was counting like super slow, which my time was technically 5 seconds, but it was counted super slow. 1, 2, like that. Pretty slow, but yeah.
It's amazing how time flies until you're doing something that is timed. So the days get by me. There's times I'm like, oh, I just did that a couple days ago. No, that was a month ago. I'm like, what? How does time fly? But yeah, if you're doing a plank for a minute, that minute feels like an hour. So I imagine those 5 seconds felt like you were in there for 5 minutes.
It did. I wanted to get out as quick as I could.
Hmm.
It was
hard to breathe when you're under. Well, while you're underwater, it's hard to breathe. But when it's cold, it's even harder.
But then when you get back up, it's like you can't even breathe at all. And
it's hard to breathe under cold water.
I know, right?
Well, it's hard to breathe under regular temperature water.
Have you ever breathed underwater? That should be the poll question.
Yeah, I think that's my last vacation as well. If we're talking out of the state, then it would have been last year when we went to Disneyland.
That was fun.
And that was crazy because that same year, earlier in that year, we went to Disney World. Usually we don't travel a lot, but you went to Disney World for this school. So my wife and I, your mom, Mabel, we went as chaperones to Disney World. And then because we had left the kids all at home when we did that, we ended up taking them later that year to Disneyland.
In October. But the sad part was, we only got half a day in, like, part of the parks.
I know, that was kind of silly because, yeah, in the California Adventure, because they had a VIP event in the evenings.
But they never told you. They never told you that, oh, don't worry, you're going to have a half day. You can't do anything over here.
Right, so you set up the day, because we didn't pay extra for the park hopper, because usually we stay a full day in each one. Well, the days we had planned in California Adventure, which, because this was coming off of right after COVID, you still had to plan ahead of time which days you're going to be in what park. So we had to specify that when we bought the tickets. I didn't know that the days we were in California Adventure were only going to be half days because of the nighttime VIP party that they had going on.
And we also went to the rapids there, too.
Yeah, the ride there, it was getting a little more chilly, so not a lot of people were riding it, but we rode it over and over and over and saw how wet we could get.
There was a poor group. There was a poor people that had this happen to them.
They're not poor as in
like,
not having money. Poor as in,
like, this was a sad thing that happened. We were over here and they're like, "Do you get wet on this ride?" We're like, "No, this is like our 4th time going on it. Until you get this drenched." We went on it with them, and that was the time we got the most wet.
Oh, their little girl was just like, the wave comes over right on top of her.
It was crazy. It got, like, faster and faster, the rapids. It was fun.
But I still enjoy camping. I think camping is one of my favorite ways to vacation.
Especially when you can unplug.
Yeah, put your phones away.
Here we are on a podcast talking about unplugging.
Yes. Once you're done listening with this, go ahead and unplug until the next episode comes out. Then feel free to connect again. And I think it's important for everybody to disconnect for a little bit, reconnect with nature. I like guided meditational videos and stuff, and plan on doing some of those here in the future because I've seen the benefit of them. Because when we're talking about vacations, that may not be a physical vacation, but it could be a mental vacation, right? You could disconnect from the current stresses for like 15 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, kind of take this mental vacation and come back a bit more mentally relaxed. Definitely can help in the middle of a stressful work day or something like that.
Right.
So I think vacations, really, you were asking about staycations. I think it's the state that you're in when you're doing it. Because
you have a spacation too, where people go to the spa for a day.
You do have a spacation, yes. And they're doing it to unwind and relax. But how many times have you come home from a vacation and you need a vacation from the vacation?
Exactly.
You're like so tired and wiped out from the vacation that you're like, oh man, I have to go back to work. I need another vacation to recover from the vacation before I go back to work.
Yeah.
All right. So for sake of time, let's continue on to the next question. What is the craziest, most outrageous thing you want to achieve?
Getting on the Guinness World Records book for something stupid.
Aren't most things in the Guinness Book of World Records. There's a few legitimate ones out there.
I just want to do something like end up accidentally getting in there just because I did something stupid, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was hanging out with my group of friends and all of a sudden we accidentally made some sort of like chemical that saves the world or something like that.
Okay, well, that's not stupid if it's saving the world.
It was like a stupid thing we were doing, just messing around with chemicals, and all of a sudden that happens.
So I saw one the other day of the world record for cracking the most nuts with their head. So they're smashing nuts with their head, and I'm like, man, this guy's gonna go nuts.
Or taking the most punches to the stomach.
Right. Like, yeah, a lot of those things are...
I can barely take
stupid.
one punch in the stomach, and then I don't feel so well.
Okay, so getting in the book of Guinness Records? No, the Guinness Book of World Records. Okay. Can you get in the Guinness Book of World Records for drinking the most Guinness? Well, none of us drink, so we couldn't, but
No, we
just
couldn't.
saying.
You probably could. There probably is something in there.
There probably is.
Most pints of whatever in a certain time period.
There's something in there for just about anything, and some of it I understand, some I just don't.
There's a world record for putting like socks. How many socks you could put on 1 foot in like 20 seconds?
Uh-huh.
And it was like 13 or something like that. And I'm like, wait, this is easy to beat.
Or for like the most golf balls in your mouth. My dad almost choked on one golf ball, and I'm glad he's alive. And these people are seeing how many they could put in their mouth.
He got it stuck.
He got it stuck right.
He couldn't get it back out.
Yep.
Because your jaw opens farther when you're putting something in, and then when you're trying to pull it back out, you have that.
Right? So these people are like flirting with death just to get their name on the record. So
Yeah,
if you're going to do something, make sure it's not deadly.
Please don't do a Murphy's Law
Okay.
stunt.
So
You know what the Murphy's Law is, right?
I think so. Like,
Removing yourself from the gene pool through your own actions.
Whatever the
Can't
worst
go
that
wrong.
can go wrong will
will
go wrong.
No, I wouldn't do that. But there was this thing, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, this could be a world record in that book. So my brother loves the Diary of a Wimpy Kids.
Uh-huh.
There's a line in the book that's literally, how many gobber mashers can this kid fit in his mouth before he explodes?
Explodes. Now that's anything that ends with before he explodes, I think I'm sticking away from.
And he has so many in his mouth, and it kept going 34, 49, 50-something, and 50-something. And I'm like, I probably wouldn't be able to fit even one more in my mouth. Or even, 10.
Galen, what's something outrageous or crazy that you would like to achieve?
I'm too old to do anything outrageous.
You're too old for anything else?
You need your midlife crisis.
No, I've definitely passed my prime of doing things wild and outrageous. Now, something I would love to do, in a controlled environment, is like on the salt flats or whatever, drive one of these cars that goes insanely fast.
Okay, that would be cool.
That would be fun.
And the salt flats are nice because there's not a ton to crash into.
Right.
Worst case scenario, you get stuck in something.
I don't know how I would steer at over 300 miles an hour with my face melted back.
I tried to drift.
I don't think drifting would be, unless you're trained at it, at 300 miles an hour, you'd just be asking to flip the car.
Oh.
Yeah, if it has a roll cage and everything, but still, you'd get a lot of whiplash for rolling it at that
You
speed.
need a car that can modify itself. So if it's gonna flip over, it flips the wheels onto the other side, and and flips you too.
You'd still get
So
all
you
this
just continue
whiplash
You're
stuff,
talking about Batman's tumbler.
right? You'd have to have this 0G seat or whatever. So as the car flips around you, you're still staying right side up, and so the inside has a gyro that flips around to you.
This is
or
going
whatever.
to happen. We already know this is gonna happen with what we've talked about before.
You should invent it.
Right? Invent a car that has a gyro inside, so as it flips, you always stay upright.
That would be fun, but more than likely somebody's gonna beat us to it. I mean, with our VR technology stuff, somebody beat us to it.
What about you with your crazy?
So, with my craziest, most outrageous idea, it doesn't sound crazy or most outrageous at all. So, what I would love to achieve, it sounds crazy to think about doing it, but I would love to write a book and to make a video game. I say crazy and outrageous for me on that because I just don't have the time to do it, and I'm not experienced in like game design or whatever.
Yeah, we tried making something like a little bit ago, which if we continue, we can make
It
it.
takes a lot more. It takes a time though. So to me, that's a crazy thing. So, but if we're talking like adrenaline, I'm too old for adrenaline, like you said. Really. Like I'd say skydiving when I was younger, but I have no desire to go do that right now.
I have it.
Even though it's probably safer than just driving down the freeway, right?
Oh yeah.
But I don't think there's anything out there crazy like that either I have a desire to try or that I haven't tried. And that's why when I read this, my mind was going towards, okay, what's something I want to achieve that is kind of crazy and out there for me, as in being hard to achieve. And those are things that ever since I was a kid, I was like, I want to write a book. And thinking I was going to have all this time when I got older to write a book, not realizing that you have a lot less time when you're older as opposed to a lot more time.
It's harder because I am writing a book currently.
Right.
Me and my friend, we're close to we're going to try getting this published. We've got getting final edits, everything. We are very close to getting this book. And I feel like I would have not had more time. Like, if I was like, oh, I want to write a book in the future, I would have not had more time. I mean, this was a random occurrence. I saw my friend writing a book, like part of the book, and I'm like, hey, can I help you? Like, what you doing? He goes, oh, I'm just writing this book. I'm like, ooh, can I help you? And now I'm a co-author into our book here because I've been putting in ideas, helping writing, and we're almost there, so.
But even from the time that you guys wrote it, so you wrote it while you were in junior high, to the time now in high school.
It's been 2 years.
You would have a lot less time now to write it than you guys had then.
Yeah, we had 2 years and a half to work on this book. My friend was more like 3 years because he had worked on it for like half a year. But then his friends stopped helping him, and then I came and helped, and now we're here. It's so much fun.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you ever need help writing a book. And creating a game, because that's something I want to do too. Right?
That's more, I guess that's not really a crazy, that's more of a bucket list item. So if I'm still trying to think of something outrageous I would like to do.
Because I would never drive one of those 300-mile-an-hour cars.
Right. I guess if I could do something outrageous, and like crazy, I would love to go to outer space. So drive like the Millennium Falcon. No. To go to outer space and do a spacewalk. So I guess that's crazy and outrageous. I just kind of wrote that off as something I probably never get to do in my lifetime, right? Colonize Mars. That would be something that would be fun. It'd be hard leaving everybody here, knowing that I'd never be able to come back. But it'd be kind of cool to see the planting of the seeds. I wouldn't even live long enough to see the final product of the colonization, to know if it's even possible or if we did anything good there. But that would be something fun to be a part of. So I guess we're looking unachievable, which I guess that's kind of what the outrageous portion of that is. That's probably where mine would be. Do the spacewalk and colonize a planet that's supposedly devoid of life.
I was thinking about Mars. If we colonize Mars, we're just gonna, I was thinking, we will have more, if we have overpopulation, we'll have more population on Mars. And, like, eventually maybe we'll have, like, something to go from Mars to Earth. And that would be fun. But think about all the crazy... So, on Earth, we have all the thunderstorms, avalanches, volcano eruptions, all these different things. How is that going to be on Mars? Like, are we going to have, like, lightning strikes? Like, because isn't Mars a sort of... No, it's not a gas giant. No, it's not.
No, it's supposedly the most similar to this planet. But again, I'm not an astronomer, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think we'd have as much rain either, though. Because we wouldn't have as much evaporation on Mars since we'd be a little farther away
You
from
kind
the
of need
sun.
water for evaporation.
I know, but I'm saying when we've colonized it. Like, if we get water on Mars, we get buildings, we get plants, we get enough breathable air, we would have to reserve water way more because the sun's a little farther away. So how much heat are we actually going to be getting, and how cold are the winters going to get?
That's true. What are the temperatures going to be like, as well as how does the distance from the sun affect evaporation and everything?
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's scientists trying to figure that out instead of me.
Yeah, we're not scientists.
But we could have an elevator from Earth to Mars.
Oh, yes. And what if that breaks down while you're halfway between Earth and Mars?
The elevator takes a year, and you break down 6 months in, and they're like, yeah, we can't get crew to work on it for another 6 months. You'd have to have, like, a full-on restaurant, station, restroom, and everything there in that elevator.
Just make a huge building the elevator.
Yeah, it's just a mall.
Right?
It's just a mall over here, the
This
elevator.
mall.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be the 6 month point. Have a store there at the 6 month point.
Hey, guys, come to my outer space hotel.
Right? You have sleeping pods and everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what is your favorite way to waste time?
Probably watching TV or playing video games, but sometimes reading books. Books are fun.
Okay. But yes, you waste a lot of time watching TV and playing video games. I agree with you on that one.
Going fishing.
Fishing.
That's what I've been wanting to do. My license expired.
But is fishing really a waste of time?
Depends on who you talk to.
Right.
To me, no.
So, waste time, pastime. Okay, we'll leave it there.
But no, if I can't get out and stuff, I read, I play video games, I watch TV. You know, I also play music.
Yeah, you're definitely a really good piano player.
So
If you're
is
talking about
Bastion.
playing music on the piano or even playing music on the radio.
Yeah, that's another way I kill time is playing piano.
We always know
Maybe
when you're bored.
practicing.
We always know when you're bored because all of a sudden we'll start hearing the piano throughout the whole
Mhm.
house.
Because I love playing piano. Piano's a beautiful instrument. And I have like a high respect for the instrument, the piano. So it's, yeah.
Well, interesting thing is when you first started taking piano lessons from Galen over here, you wouldn't practice. He would give you stuff to do and you'd be, oh, why do I gotta practice? Why do I gotta practice? Once we stopped piano lessons and about 6 months afterwards, all of a sudden
6 months. It was more like
a year?
wait, how old was I? I was like,
I don't know.
I don't know. But then it was more like a couple years later, and I'm like, oh wait, because we didn't have a piano as much in the house. I think we had like a small little keyboard and stuff like that.
No, you had the
We
piano.
had this piano.
We had this piano when I was at, but I never
Yeah.
played I didn't play on it as much. But I think it was a year later. All of a sudden, I was like, you know what? I want to start playing piano, and I self-taught myself sort of with the basics from
Mhm.
Galen and what I had learned in my different school.
Yeah, you started asking me, hey, can you find some music for me? So I would go out there and see what I could find by way of the music. And I'd be like, nah, he's just going to get bored of this. Next thing I know, you're teaching yourself about sharps and flats and learning the music there, and then the rest of it has just been kind of self-led. Again, you got the basics when you did piano lessons with Galen, and then just kind of self-led your teaching after that. And now that's your go-to. When you don't have anything to do and you know we're not going to let you watch TV or video games because it's a school night, you just sit down at the piano. But then sometimes you do it at the wrong time. So like you're supposed to be studying or you're supposed to be helping clean. And, oh, but I'm doing something good. I'm playing the piano. Yes, we love you playing the piano, but you still got to do your chores.
I know.
So my favorite way to pass time is sleeping. Or to waste time is sleeping. If I could have time where I know I'm not going to be interrupted, then I fall asleep. If I'm picking up kids and have to wait in the car, I fall asleep. Being a parent, I'm pretty sure most parents can relate.
Mm-hmm.
You get sleep deprived. So sleep is kind of a precious resource to you that whenever you get a chance, you take advantage of it. Because you know that when night comes, you're not going to be able to sleep.
Yeah, and I was thinking about how we keep changing it from passing time, like wasting time, killing time. What did time ever do to us? Why did we pass it? And it's like, hey, don't even acknowledge, just pass time, or we just wasted time.
Hey, dude, pass me the time so I can kill it. Wasted.
Exactly. That's where I was going. But for time's just like time, yeah.
Time flies by.
And that's another one. Wait, after time's been wasted, then it flies by.
Yep. All right. So I think we've killed enough time on that one. So,
Shink, shink, shink.
What is your least favorite part of the day? Probably the time where you're wasting most of the time because it's your least favorite. What's your least favorite part of the day?
School. Even
Okay.
though I love going to school, I wish there wasn't so much of it.
Okay.
I wish it was like 2 terms. 1 term is gigantic. Well, that's never mind. That's semesters right there. No, but I wish it's like 2 terms. And it's like, oh, you just have to take 1 term during fall time. And then, okay, you get the entire winter break, entire, like, winter off. Then you have spring. You just do school in spring, and then you have summer off. Because that would make it so much better. Because then you learn stuff you need to learn. But, like, you wouldn't have enough time. So you'd probably have to add, like, a couple more grades before college. But, I mean, at least you have more time to spend with family. Because I feel like school is too much time that I've spent with my, nothing against my friends. But I've spent so much time with my friends more than I've spent time with my family. So, yeah.
I agree with the spending time with family. I think as definitely something hard with school is it does take away a lot of that. But if you had more time at home, think of how much you forget during the summer. So if you had more of that time, you would have to make sure you were structured on the time aside from that. When you were home, so you at least kept up on the stuff you had learned.
Yeah.
Me, I'm not a morning person.
Okay.
Even though I get up early in the morning to go to work, and I work an early shift, I'm not a morning person.
Yeah, now we used to get up about the same time. Now you get up before me.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot more lazy now that I don't have to get up at 4:30 in the morning. What time do you get up?
The alarm rings at 5.
Okay, so you get up at like 5:30, 5:45?
It depends. Usually around 5:20 to 5:30.
Okay.
So kind of how me and Caleb do it for
Mhm.
school. Every day we wake up at 5:30 and we've rotated showering hours.
as to who gets in the shower first. Yep, my alarm gets off at 5, goes off at 5, and then again at 5:30 when I have to wake you guys up, and then I turn them off and I go back to sleep. Okay, I didn't used to be a morning person. I don't mind it as much now. I think my least favorite time of the day is right before bed. So it's that moment where everybody else starts to drift off asleep and I'm still awake and I have 1,000 thoughts in my head, thinking about my kids, thinking about the day, thinking about my business, thinking about this podcast, thinking about all these things. And a lot of the ways I process this information is by talking about it. But I look over and my wife's already asleep. So I'm talking to myself in my head, and then starts the 2 or 3 hour long conversation before I could finally fall asleep.
Yeah, I can't sleep if other people are asleep before me. That's the biggest problem with me. If I'm trying to go to sleep and everybody else is asleep, I'm like, what do I do? And I'm freaking out. I'm like, okay, what do I do? How do I go to sleep? I usually talk to someone or they'll talk to me forever and I get annoyed by it, but at least it helps me sleep. It's crazy.
But you and your brother are the same way. So you guys are fighting about who's going to sleep first. I need to sleep first. No, I need to sleep first. If you fall asleep first, then he's coming over to us and, hey, Bastion's asleep. I can't sleep. If he falls asleep first, you're saying, hey, everybody else is asleep. I can't sleep. And I'm just sitting there with this own dialogue in my head.
I can't sleep either.
So you ought to try those sleep masks so you can't tell if people around you are
Caleb
asleep.
uses one of those.
Oh, I don't know where mine
He
went.
uses one that looks like it has open eyes. You could open and close. He's been for like a year now. The only way he could sleep is with a sleep mask.
Unless, like, we're talking and stuff like that.
But he used to always creep us out because when he would sleep, his eyes would be like half open. So we never knew if he was asleep or not. So I think that's why he needs the sleep mask, to block out any ambient light from his open eyes when he's sleeping.
Are you awake? Oh, I guess he's asleep.
So we have nighttime, morning, and during the day. So between us all, we just hate the entire day.
Exactly.
Well, and part of my reason, also with morning, is during the winters here in Utah, driving in the morning before the sun's come up, and when roads are slick and you can't see where the ice is on the roads.
It's cold.
And the mornings are worse than the nights.
Yes.
Because at least during the nights, they've had time to heat up and it's not as icy.
Right.
The morning is crazy. But then again, we get dark here at 5 o'clock. So I guess another reason for my hatred of the evening is I hate driving in the dark. I cannot drive in the dark with my vision. The lights play games with my eyes, and I get somewhat confused with all the lights and everything. And so getting dark at 5 really irks me.
Yes.
And then the other time is when I'm dropping the kids off in the morning is when the sun is rising and the sun is burning straight into my eyeballs. And it's at the angle where even if you put your sun visor down, it still comes right through.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, I forgot.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question. Yeah, we'll be kind of quick about this one. But are you afraid of any animals? Which ones and why?
Yes.
Okay.
Snakes, and I didn't used to be afraid of snakes. I'm also, if you count spiders as animals, spiders, earwigs, centipedes.
And they are counted as animals.
Animals, spawns of Satan. I mean, either one, I think is fine for spiders, right?
So, spiders are counted as animals because animals include insects. Okay. Insects are also, I think, They're included as like animals, but insects and arachnophobia. Wow, and the arachnids. I think those are how you say it.
Yes, they're
The arachnids are also considered under the like insect-ish area. Do they have legs and they have creepy faces like a bug does?
But they're closer to like demons than they are to animals. I mean, demons have legs, and they have eyes, and spiders have eyes, and they have legs,
and multiple eyes.
And multiple eyes.
No,
Okay.
I've always been afraid of spiders and centipedes and earwigs and those biting insects.
Same here.
You know, not so much afraid of mosquitoes, but afraid of, the creepy crawlies.
Right.
But with snakes, we even had a snake as a pet when I was younger. It escaped in the house. We didn't know where it was. And then all of a sudden, one day, it had attacked and latched onto our cockatiel.
Yep.
And there was blood everywhere. We got rid of the snake. Ever since that point...
No, we had to get rid of Ty. Why not get rid of the bird?
But ever since that point, there's something that in my brain associates snakes with the creepy crawlies.
Okay. Yeah, snakes are something I've never really had a fear of. Even when we've been camping, and we've shared this story, I believe, if not, when we came across a rattlesnake and we made sure the kids got around safely, it wasn't something that scared me, even though I knew it was dangerous. So on that side, snakes have never been feared, but I've known a lot of people who are really afraid of snakes.
And I have snakes in my backyard, garter snakes. And they're great until your daughter hits one with a lawnmower.
Oh, yeah, that's...
which happened.
It's a bit gruesome. The nice thing about snakes, so going snakes real quick, is one of the animals we hate around here. I wouldn't say I'm afraid of them, but my wife definitely is, are mice and rats, right? And in the city, you're going to have those around, especially when there's other animals and stuff around, whether it's gardens or farm animals or whatever. They like to feed upon some of their food. Well, snakes are great for keeping their population under control.
And cockroaches.
So when we see a snake skin in our yard, we're actually happy about it because we know that they're helping to keep that under control. We do have a resident vole that's living here in our lavender bush. And we know it's a vole because of the way it looks, as well as the fact that rats and mice don't like lavender or mint, but the voles will actually live down by the roots and eat the roots of the lavender. So, Bastion, animal you're afraid of, why and what?
Spiders, mice, rats, voles. Okay. Why am I afraid of them? Spiders. I've had a spider crawl on my hand. And it's a wolf spider, too. Those things don't bite unless...
A wolf spider or a jumping spider?
It was a wolf.
Okay.
Those things don't bite unless, like, threatened, I think. And those things are speedy. And they creep me out because, like, they have gigantic, like, egg sacs on their back.
Okay.
And they can lay about bunch of eggs.
Most spiders can.
And it was creepy because I think it was one that had that on it, so I smacked it off my hand and it hit something. Yeah. Then rats I've had a fear of because my mom. Mice I have a fear of because my mom. Voles. I was pulling weeds by the lavender, and I don't even know if you guys... I think it was a vole. Because I'm pulling weeds, and all of a sudden, all I hear is something rustling in the lavender. And I'm like, oh no.
It was the dogs in the backyard. My other son confirmed that. It was the dogs in the backyard. But Bastion over here thinking it was a vole going out to attack him.
I do not believe that it was the dogs in the backyard. It moved in the lavender. Something moved in the lavender.
It was the dogs in the backyard. Okay, so I think I'm on with you guys about spiders. I'm afraid of spiders because when I was little, I got stung by a scorpion.
Well, scorpions are just a demon cross between a wasp and a spider.
That's true, but I'm not afraid of scorpions. But I'm afraid of spiders because I got stung by a scorpion. I cannot explain that. And so I cannot explain why that is. But spiders are one thing I'm afraid of. And the other thing is fish. So I love fishing, don't get me wrong. But if I'm swimming in a lake,
Okay, yes.
and I feel a fish up against my foot, I freak out.
Just like my
Yes.
friend.
Yes, I
Well,
agree.
I kind of scared my friend with that. We were over here. We were playing like the little lake that was over there. I go down. I go under the water. They don't know that I'm there. I literally go and touch the bottom of their leg, and they're like, "Fish, fish, fish!" And I'm like, and I'm just laughing. It was funny.
Yeah, there've been plenty of times where I'm in a lake and I feel a fish, and it is the creepiest thing because you can't see it.
Right.
I don't know if it's a fish, if it's a shark, if it's a tiger muskie gonna bite me with his teeth. Would probably scare me more than a shark does. I don't know what it is.
Right.
And so fish creep me out when they're under the water touching my feet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to wrap up the episode. Stay away from spiders. Stay away from fish. Stay away from fish spiders or spider fish.
Or scorpions.
Nah, scorpions are fine. All right. Thank you for joining us today. This episode was a little bit longer, but we only posted one last week, so this is kind of a little bonus for you all. Thanks for joining us. Remember to subscribe or whatever it's called, to follow, so that you could be notified of the episodes as they're released. And we look forward to joining us next time.
And have a great day.